Good morning, everybody. What you hear behind me is the Pacific Ocean. So, here on vacation, using my laptop, wanted to publish a video starting with the S&P. This is a weekly chart of the S&P, and to me, this still is a pretty big chop fest, even though it's had a very big week, very aggressive weekly candle. If you see the weekly candle here, this has been um, a nice little surge. I mean, if you told me 6 months ago that with interest rates the way they are, that we would have been at 4,100, I would have thought you were kidding. But here we are. After a big 27% drop, it's been consolidating around these levels. Really in no man's land at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't test 4,200 or 4,190. Even we can run to the Fibo of 4,300. The weekly chart doesn't say much to me. Very bullish weekly candle, obviously, but I think still within the chop fest. So I look at the daily chart. Again, big days. Um, Friday was another rally. Um, Obviously, it was quarter end, so let's put that into account. But if I look at this daily chart, let's take the Fibos out. Um, this is still a big range. This is still a big kind of a big chop fest, like I call it, right? So I think that you can be tactical here. Look for spots to trade. Um, I do want to sell a little bit, but I think that I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until I see some momentum fading. The RSI doesn't say anything to me, so the S&P right now is a no man's land for me. No trade. Let's look at the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is a little bit more interesting. Um, I think that there is a little bit more of a trade here, a little bit more of a level that you can use in the daily chart to trade against. Um, let's look at the weekly chart here. I think that this area here is going to be very interesting. I wouldn't mind starting to look um, to start fading this in a little bit with a little bit more intention around this prior high. It doesn't mean that it's going to get there or necessarily reach that level. It's had an aggressive week as well. It's spent 3 good solid weeks of buying. Um, again, this was month end, quarter end on Friday, so let's take that into account. But still, very bullish price action for equities for the Nasdaq. But I do think that at some point, let's take this Fibonacci out. This chart is going to fail. Let's look at the daily chart on the Nasdaq, and let's see where that is. Um, there is that RSI is telling me that it's getting a little bit tired into that zone. So let me, I want to see a little bit more here. I wouldn't mind starting a little short or starting to fade this index here at this level, maybe a little bit higher. I want to see a little bit more price action though. So equities right now, U.S. equities at least, are a little complex. Um, Obviously, it's been a very tough week if you're fading this, but that's where it is. Let's look at the DAX. This is the index. Again, the daily chart. Let me put the weekly chart first. My thesis is that we are in a big B wave, but this weekly chart has been, I posted on social media that if you're wrong, you have to get out of the way. It was because it is. I did get out of the way here because this week and last week were pretty aggressive. Now I want to see this level here trade, and if I'm looking at the futures, um, looks like it's kind of breaking out. But again, I don't think that there's a lot of momentum. I think that this chart is losing a little bit of steam if I look at the RSI. Again, it is in no man's land. I do think this is still a B wave, but I'm not going to at this point front run this chart because I want to wait to see. I want to wait to see some exhaustion. So I got out of the way. I want to open a little bit of a short position here because I do think that this is at some point is going to turn, and I do think that we're in a B wave, but I have to be cautious here. I think again, I want to see how it trades against this congestion level. Nothing to me here at this point. So let's go to FX and let's start with a dollar. This one is an interesting chart, and I put a zone here. I do think that the dollar is finding a bottom, short-term bottom here. Um, Obviously, you have to trade against this low, but I do think that this is a there's some dollar pairs here that are actionable, that you can take some good solid risk here. Looking at some of the dollar pairs that I think are going to be, like I said, right. I think that this is right now finding a bottom, and let's look at the daily chart as well of the U.S. dollar. If you see the daily chart, I think if I go by the RSI, and again you can hear the waves behind me, it's so pretty. Um, I think it's finding a little bit of exhaustion here on the seller exhaustion. So I'm interested in the dollar. I've started to buy some. Um, let's see any particular pairs. Uh, so I look at individual pairs in the dollar. Let's see, dollar Norway. I have a chart here of dollar Naki. I think this looks good. Again, you have to know where you're wrong here, right? But to me, this was the wave four, and to me, this could turn higher. So I've been involved for a little bit, and I'm looking at the different time frames to see where I can trade around this position. But I think that this could. I think the dollar is finding a bottom here. That's the bottom line of what I'm trying to say. Another interesting chart that I started looking on on Friday is cross yen, and we started with sterling yen. I think this is a double top right here. So we did sell some sterling yen on Friday. I think we cut it at a really pretty nice level above 165. And right now I'm running a short position here. I think that we have a shot of seeing this much lower. I love this daily candle here. I think this is a reversal candle like this one right here. So I think that we could see this thing at least straight to the 161 handle, even maybe a little bit lower. So I like this chart. We are short sterling yen. We also sold a little bit of Swiss yen, um, because of the less, there's less carry implications in Swiss yen. So we did sell a little bit of that. And I'm trying to find my chart here. Let's see. This one has also a very nice candle. This to me, just by looking at it, looks like an ABC wave. So I could see this thing making a C wave lower now from here, from this level. So nice reversal candle on Friday. Again, I'm not reading much into these things because it's quarter end, month end, but this was a nice reversal candle. If we see some follow through here, then we could probably tell that this is an A, this is a B, and then the C should take us much lower. Again, a lot of things happening in Japan as well, with inflation coming in hot, with everything coming in hot in Japan, and them probably having to pivot them from YCC into a more conventional monetary policy stance. So that could add a lot of fuel to yen positions. So cross yen is something that I do like. Um, Not necessarily dollar yen, which I do think it could drop, but also sterling yen, Swiss yen, even euro yen has a great chart. And we did sell one lot of euro yen as well. based on this highs right here, right? This is a very clean chart in my opinion. We sold it on Friday in the morning. We're still riding it. I think that this double top here may be maybe a failure. Nice reversal candle on Friday. I would like to see very big follow through Monday and Tuesday. If we do see that, then we could probably challenge these lows here at 130. That would be a very nice win. Again, Japan with torrid numbers, not only on the inflation side, but uh, everything in Japan has been hot. So I do think that at some point in April here, BOJ is going to have to do a pivot. So this is a big story. And this is a big story that will affect bonds as well, right? So keeping an eye on bonds. Let's look at the 10. The 10-year here is at a pivotal level, I think. And if we go to the weekly chart, my friends the flies here, um, you can see, I can see here that this level is important. Looking at that weekly chart, there's a prior high. It's been testing these lows, it's been holding them. Um, the candle on this weekly candle was not extremely bullish, but it's still holding that level. If this level breaks, I could I could definitely see a big rally in bonds and yields going much lower, right? Same here with the fives. Similar story with the twos. And let's take this Fibbo out. Again, if we start seeing a bond rally, obviously that's going to be in favor of the yen. So I'm looking across yen really closely, involved in it, short, um, and still to be determined how that will affect equities, right? If it is a risk-off move and bonds rally and the yen rallies, and I've shown you the dollar, and the dollar kind of firms up a little bit, I would suspect that that won't be very positive for risk in general, and I would suspect that that won't be very positive for equities in general. But the equity charts are not saying anything to me. If anything, I would like to see exhaustion in there before we start getting really involved in shorting equities. I did buy some downside on Friday because falls are very cheap. But having said that, to get involved in earnest, you need to see a turn in equities, and right now we're simply not seeing that. It is pretty bullish at this point. So you got to be careful if you're shorting equities. Again, this is the S&P chart. It is a chop fest, but these last 3 weeks have been aggressive. Let's see if this level right here holds. And if we start seeing some exhaustion around here, then yes, I would be happily shorting this thing because I do think it has a lot of downside from a fundamental standpoint. I'm gonna go back to the beach. It is 7:30 here in Lima, so I hope you enjoy this video. I'll be back in the saddle on Wednesday. Have a great rest of the weekend, guys, and see you soon.